just kind of introduce us and talk a little bit about MHR, right? And what we do in the MHR division at SBH. Very exciting stuff. So as Shirley knows, and let me just tell everybody why I'm so clumsy with this is the first time I ever do this. So I'm learning as I go along. So I think it says about 70 people are on, right?
Yes.
So, okay, great.
That's a lot of people that want to hear about anxiety.
Yes.
Probably they have anxiety, or the people around them have anxiety, and they have anxiety about them having anxiety. So, right?
It sounds like the conversation we had in the car the other day, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So let me just say that we're really happy everybody's joining us tonight. This program this talk is I'm excited about it, and it's being brought to us through MHR. MHR is a mental health referral resource program at SBH. And basically what we do there is we have professionals answering the line. People call in. They have anxiety. They have depression. They have any mental health issue. Everything's confidential. They get some referrals, resources, guidance, advice. It's really, really. I wish I knew how to actually write it on the screen, but I'm just going to say the phone number. Very confidential line, and anybody who needs any guidance with anything related to mental health issues, right? Anxiety, depression, PTSD, anything. The number there is 718-787-1300. I'm going to keep saying, throughout the...
I posted it there, you guys.
Oh, okay.
So it's not pinned, but it's there.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So before we get into the nitty gritty, I really wanted to just say a couple of words. Oh, first of all, I'm Sabrina Mizrahi, right? I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I work in the client service division at SBH. I've been there for 14 or 15 years. And it's great because we do great stuff at SBH. I know Shirley knows this because Shirley's one of my amazing volunteers that we love so much.
Thank you.
Shirley, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Shirley Catton. I am a captain at SBH. I love being a captain. It allows me to contribute back on a very personal level, which I love. And I really do enjoy working with the social workers at SBH and the team of people that are there. It just makes me feel good and supported. I'm a fitness instructor. I incorporate a lot of mental health into the work that I do. It's very important to me to always have that aspect to my life and everything that I do, because as we'll speak, I've learned over the years that you really cannot leave that part behind. It's very important to uncover and discover and move through it. And we'll talk more about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, before we get into the that nitty gritty of, the good stuff, right? I just wanted to talk about anxiety, because anxiety is something, I don't know anybody who hasn't had anxiety, right? I mean, anxiety is actually not a bad thing always, right?
Mm-hmm.
That drives me to get to the airport 3 hours before my flight going to Florida. I don't need to be there for another hour. It's the stuff that drives people to study for their tests, or it's actually not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety can get troublesome, right? There's kind of like a line that we cross, and then where just regular everyday issues that cause us anxiety could turn into I don't love this word, but into an anxiety disorder. I don't love that word. I didn't coin it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But into a kind of an anxiety disorder where it expresses itself in maybe like a generalized anxiety or a panic disorder with panic attacks, into phobias, into different kinds of issues that get in the way of our lives. And that's when it's an issue, right? And I think that's focus on today, you know, where anxiety that kind of we all kind of feel at some point in our lives, how we get from that to a point where it's getting in the way of my life. Yes. And just to kind of throw a couple of numbers out there, 40 million Americans at some point in their life, 40 million, it's a big number, will have experienced some sort of anxiety disorder. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important because it normalizes it, right? So when we're going through it, it just does not feel so normal. But the 40 million people at any time are experiencing.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Shirley, I just want to say thank you because it's not an easy thing to talk about and to, you know, come out live about, right? Mm-hmm. And thank you for that because it's really important that people come out and talk about these things to kind of try to kind of like extinguish a little bit that or decrease that stigma that's kind of always around any kind of mental health. And so thank you for being super brave and coming out today. And we'd love to hear about your experience.
Mm-hmm. I think that the reason I just want to add that I agreed to do this is because I'm a big believer in if you are authentic and you are expressive and you are being truly who you are, then you are allowing other people to be who they are. And so I think that as a friend, as a family member, as a fitness instructor, I think that that's important. So I'm always talking about anxiety in my classes, and that's how this turned out, because Rena Asher said, would you talk about anxiety for SBH? And I said, yes, because I'm always talking about it because it's a big part of who I am, and it's a big part of what drives me to be who I am. And it's important for the people around me to know that I struggle with that, and that's what also makes me kick up my life to the next level. I think that anxiety could be, like you were saying before, I guess like paralyzing would be a word that I would describe sometimes, you know. So, I mean, I don't know clinically where it turns into a disorder. That's your thing, but I've experienced more of a paralyzing anxiety where like you wake up in the morning and you just don't want to get out of bed. You have this churning acid in your stomach. You're just thinking about a lot of things. You're just worried about some stuff, and you just cannot get out of that head of worry and this quick heartbeat and stuff like that. And I guess it must have started like, I guess when my father was sick years and years, you know, it's been since 1997 where I first experienced real anxiety of just a lot of worry, a lot of feeling like you're not in control of things, and worried about what the future holds. So that question mark can cause a lot of, for me, causes a lot of anxiety. I guess that's where it began, and it's been laced through my life ever since. Somebody once told me, like, once you have a panic attack, you're going to panic about when your next panic attack is happening. And I was like, oh my God, it doesn't end, you know? So, yeah, I've had panic attacks. I've felt paralyzed, and I've kind of rerouted my life to fit around that and learned how to manage that with being outdoors or nature or meditation or more sleep or whatever. I have my like go-to list of things that I use. Right. I think my anxiety comes from worrying about the future or thinking about something that happened in the past that I should have done or I didn't do, or I'm mulling over and I'm hemming and hawing over and whatever. So what I do is try to immerse myself in the present as much as I can. And I feel like that's helpful for me to remove anxiety of future or past.
I want to jump in there for a quick second.
Go ahead. All you.
No, because you're hitting it on the nose. most anxiety, or a lot of anxiety, or all of anxiety really is a lot about the future. What's going to happen? I don't have control. Or a lot about the past. Oh, why did I say that? Why did I do that? And very little about the present.
Right.
That's why when, we'll talk about it in a couple of minutes about, this mindfulness and being present. And that's part of why it's so powerful, because again, a lot of our anxiety, if not all, is about something that we think or we worry might happen, or something we're worried happens already. But
totally.
Where is it about what's going on, right now? You're breathing, talking, smiling. Yeah.
Yeah. So being in the moment has been a very helpful thing. And it's a trait. You have to train yourself to be, you're here. This is what you're doing. You're there. That's, you're on vacation without your kids. That's where you are. If you're leaving your brain behind, what's the point? Like, you have to, this is what works for me. You have to try to be where you are. Those are choices that you're making. And I find that removes a lot of my anxiety.
Yeah. Being in the present, being in the moment.
Being in the moment.
Absolutely. I know I've had experiences where, I could be anxious about something, and then I might go for a massage to try to calm down, right? Not to calm down, just to kind of relax. And if I'm not mindful of staying in the moment, I could spend that hour on the massage table thinking about everything. The hour is over and I'm not relaxed, because
100%.
About whatever, the past, the future, and not at the moment. So I think that's a very powerful thing. I just want to go back to what you said before, Cheryl, about when is it anxiety, when is it a disorder? So really, it's simple, but it's not. But really, the answer is when it gets in the way of your life. See what you were describing? You get up in the morning and there's this weight on you, and it's so hard to start your day. That's kind of, not by itself, but that's kind of when when it's actually impacting your life, just getting in your way of your being with your children, being with your friends, or it's getting in the way of anything. That's really when it's a problem. And what's really interesting, Cheryl, I was kind of doing, even though I'm a mental health counselor, and I deal with all kinds of people and all kinds of, but when I do something like this, I want to kind of go back and research a little bit and get us some numbers. People like numbers. And it's very interesting to me that I read that of all the people that suffer from anxiety disorder, right, where it's really getting in the way of their life, only about a third actually seek help. That was pretty interesting. Yeah. And that's, I think, part of why we wanted to do this today, because 2/3 are suffering and not either not talking about it or not trying to get help. Yes.
So there's a I'm fine thing going on all over the world. Like you're walking on the street. How are you? I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. And for some reason, we just want to say, yeah, we're good. Everything's fine. But that anxiety, that worry, it sits on you. It weighs on you. It weighs on your patience. It weighs on your skills as a human. It will just sit on you. And I do find that mental health counseling is very helpful. I'm a huge fan of talking to a professional. I always have. I value that, and I think it's awesome. If you can sit there and unload your stuff on somebody that knows about it, and you can leave the room and it's not going anywhere, I don't see anything better than doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm assuming that when you were dealing with this, you did do that. You went to a therapist, and
yes,
definitely therapy, talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. There are definitely therapies out there that help. There are medications, right? There are medications. Medication is a big thing. I know I've heard in my 15 years of working, and probably before and outside of the office, is that question of, will I have to take it forever? If I start taking it, but right now you don't have quality of life. Right now you don't have, you have to take it now. And the truth is, probably, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an MD. You probably don't have to take it forever, but you have to take it now, right?
I wanna add something to what you're saying, because I do speak a lot to people about medication or whatever. I don't know. I whatever. Anyway, so I'm not a doctor again, but I find that the biggest thing that's in the way for people is they say, it's not me, I'm fine. It's just that my parent is aging, and my kid is failing in school, and my husband is not doing well in business. But guess what? That's you. You are still dealing with all of other people's problems around you. So I feel like I've been hearing this a lot lately. Like, it's not me, I'm fine. Like, if I removed all of these stressors, I'm good. But, you know, the bottom line is you're not, because you're living with this and you have to catch all of those balls. And if you need to speak to somebody, or you need a little dose of medication to kind of take the edge off with the doctor's go ahead, you know, why wouldn't you tap into the resources that you have?
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. You know, it's a very interesting thing how we generally see medical and mental health differently, right? I went for a blood test, and my doctor told me I needed blood control pills, but I didn't believe him. I went to another doctor, and he said to me, okay, so I'm going to take your blood, and if I tell you need blood pills, will you believe me?
Mm.
And I did believe him, and I had to, but you have like a blood test. You could see, okay, this is what you want.
Yes.
And the thing we all know this, right? The thing with mental health is you can't really see it, right? You can't see it on a blood test. You can't see it on an x-ray. And it just kind of, I guess if people actually see it, oh, okay, I need to take this, then maybe it would be easier. But that's not the case with mental health, right? It's not.
Right. It's not strep. They give you antibiotics. You know, you're thrilled when you go to the doctor and your child doesn't feel well and they say strep. You're like, great, let's get this antibiotics and let's get this healing going. Right? So you want to escalate the healing process, and you want to help yourself. So this is part of it. I want to add something about what you were saying before. When my dad was sick, my mom said to me, I want you to go see a therapist. And I was completely against it. I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm really fine, Mom. I really think you should go. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll go, you know. Meanwhile, I went, and 45 minutes was not enough time. I was like, these therapists got to add more time. I mean, 45 minutes is not enough time. I need a few hours. But besides that, she said something to me that was super, super, super valuable. And I repeat it often. And she said to me, listen, you could deal with this now, or you're going to deal with this later. Anyway, you are going to deal with this. So wouldn't you rather do it now than spend the next 10 years or 20 years sitting in this terrible feeling? Like, why? And it was like a light bulb moment. And I was like, no, I'm going to deal with this now. I'm going to deal with this mourning process now. I'm going to deal with the pain now. And I think that there's always pain regarding that time in my life. But I think that I did a really good job at dealing with the pain as it was coming to me and working through it. So I am not sitting on a mound of pain for the rest of my life. Yeah. So I think that if you see yourself headed in a direction where that mound is piling up, you're eventually going to have to deal with it. Right? Yeah. So
absolutely. You're absolutely right, because a lot of people think, oh, you know, a lot of people see it as a weakness. It's not a weakness. We're human beings. We live with a lot of stress. That's just the world that we live in. And so if you're going to see it as a weakness, you're going to think, okay, I can, you know, make myself stronger and do this myself. And, you know, that goes to speak to, Cheryl, what I was saying that I read about how only about a third people who suffer because of that, right? Because they're, whatever it is, maybe they're deeming themselves, oh, I'm weak, I could do this myself, I don't need somebody to talk to, I don't need medicine, I don't need this. And they're quiet, right? Because they're embarrassed, which I don't understand, honestly. I'm an open book. I'll talk about anything. I'll talk about the time I was depressed. I'll talk about the time. I'll talk about, you know, everything. But but there are people that, you know, feel very, very differently. And that explains why not the majority are actually going for help. But aside from talk therapy, which I'm a big believer in, right?
Yep.
Aside from medication that I'm a big believer in, what else worked for you, Cheryl?
So I was thinking about this actually this morning. By creating space in my schedule, I feel like I can breathe. So like if I look at my calendar and I see 9 a.m. I'm doing this, and 12 I'm doing this, and 2 I'm doing this, and then I'm going to go out at night, and then I'm going to go to my son's hockey. All of a sudden, I feel like I literally feel the anxiety.
Wow.
Of rapid fire stuff to do. I have to make this phone call, and I have to answer this email. So what I try to do now is create like playtime, like free time in my schedule. Like tomorrow I have nothing to do except to drive to Deal to drop my dog off. Don't ask. Anyway, I am like, yes, I'm going to drive in my car, listen to my podcast. I'm going to have my mental downtime. So if I'm running from thing to thing, I find I gather up a lot of anxiety.
Right.
Another thing that helps me is you guys also said this at one of the captain's nights, is like limiting coffee. Yeah, they said it at the last captain's night, and it's something that I do. I love coffee, but I make sure to drink half calf in the morning. Or if I wake up and I feel anxious, I don't have my coffee right away. I'll go teach my class, and then when I'm relaxed and I sweat it out, then I'll have my coffee, because I find that the caffeine revs me up in a very bad way. My heart starts pounding, and I feel like jittery and whatever. So that, I feel like that manages, I know how to manage my anxiety around coffee. And I think people that have a lot of coffee in the morning and are like buzzing all around, you can't focus, you can't relax, you can't create that space, that calm. That works for me.
Yeah. I was going to say that I think, I know I was presenting that night with the captain's night, and I wasn't the one that said that, but yeah. But I think the bigger thing is to be in touch with yourself, right? Knowing that, so like I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I'll have a cup in the morning. I'll have a cup, maybe half a cup in the afternoon. So it doesn't really, I don't find that it affects me, but I think that the important thing is to kind of be aware of what is it that does affect me, right? And that's huge. It's the bigger picture is that you're aware of the coffee affecting you, right?
Yes. And it's also awareness of like, I need downtime now. I need my bath. I need to shut my phone. I need to go for a walk. Whatever that means to you, somebody's going to do their needlepoint. Somebody's going to crochet. Somebody will paint. Whatever it is that calms you down, that's what you should do. Like, it's different for everybody. Somebody can be, it's a run. But I also do think, and this is not a plug for my class, but I think a good sweat, however you're going to get it, really does release something. It burns off that fuel that you have, burning inside. For me, a good sweat outdoors kicks it.
I'm with you. I think, the outdoors itself, right? I mean, for me, I don't run really. I walk, put those on, and just walk and try to be in the moment. That works for me.
Yes.
I know I love when I'm really stressed out, to just shut everything out, get into, fill the tub with bubbles and put some music on and just kind of drown everything. I think what it is me time, right?
That's what it is. It's space. I call it the space between. It's a Dave Matthews song, but it's the space between, right? The emptiness that's just as important. It's like when you're listening to a good song and then there's quiet for a second and then the beat kicks back in, right? You're able to appreciate the beat because you had the space. If you don't have that space, that's always the best part of the song, when it like gets quiet for a second and it's like, boom,
I love it, really.
Right? So that's life. life is constantly throwing these beats, but if you create that space and then you jump back into the beat, it's always better. I don't know.
I love that, and I'm going to think more about it later because I love that in between. I like it a lot. Okay, let me plug MHR in again.
Do it.
I want to say, because we talked about therapy, right? You know, if it's talk therapy or cognitive behavior therapy, or even if it's medication, possibly. And you know what I always tell people when people say to me, when I really encourage people to go have an evaluation with a psychiatrist. I wish I could do it. I can't. Mm-hmm. But you know, the doctor that went to medical school, have an evaluation, and it doesn't mean he's going to give you medication. It's just an evaluation. Let's just hear what a professional opinion has to say, right? And it doesn't mean you're not signing a contract. So part of what MHR is doing, they're referring, they're giving people resources of therapists, CBT, talk, DBT, whatever the modality is. They also have relationships and referrals of psychiatrists that they could send you. Again, everything confidential. I know you put the phone number in there. I just want to put it in again, 718-787-1300. And I also want to remind everybody, and I know that MHR does refer, but we do have an SBH counseling center, and it's amazing, beautiful, state of the art. You know, really wonderful therapist over there. And again, everything's confidential. I mean, I haven't been there in a while, but you know, you come in of one door, you go out of another door.
Yes.
They try to keep as confidential as possible. So help is out there, right? Help is definitely out there. And if somebody's not ready to go to that step, thank you, Rachel. If somebody is not ready to go to that step, talk to somebody, right? Talk to a friend. Talk to somebody about what you're feeling. Again, I want to say it again. Only a third of the people who are suffering actually get help. And I think the average was a few years till they actually do it. Yeah. Kind of what you were saying. No, I don't need it. I'm going to be okay. But sometimes it goes on, you know, for a very long time. And I call it suffering for no reason. Why are you suffering?
Agreed.
Go and get help. Help is out there. Agreed. So it's really important for people to know. Okay, Cheryl, how long have you been on? Because I don't want to bore people.
No, we're on for 28 minutes. So we could definitely wrap up. If anybody has any interesting questions they want to pop in, we'll do 2-3 minutes of questions if anybody has anything. I'm trying to think I was thinking today about some things I wanted to.
You know what I want to talk about really quick, just like for 1 minute, about panic attacks. I know that you mentioned something about panic. I know that I experienced panic attacks when I was in my early 20s. It's a very, very scary thing. And yes, in between panic attacks, you're worrying about the next one and waiting for it. So it's not like pangs of pain that you can live in between. You can't live in between because you're always constantly anticipating the next one.
Right.
So I just, you know, I know a lot of, again, talk therapy, medication, but there's also a lot of things, breathing, meditating. Actually, it's very easy. You go online and you can just kind of look up tools for coping with panic. But panic disorder is a very, very difficult thing. And I think that you were also talking about it, right, Shirley?
Yeah, so I want to mention, yes, I've definitely had panic attacks, and it feels like a tsunami. That's how I could describe it. It just feels like water is coming, and you just cannot breathe. Yeah. But the main thing that I want to stress about a panic attack is that 2 things. It does end, and it won't kill you. You're going to get through it, right? It feels like you're going to die. Like it really does feel like this is the end. But it will pass. But the panic attack is a very important signal to get help. Yes. Because you do not need to live with feeling like you're in a tsunami. There is no reason why you should have this feeling of that's going to hit me again. That was so scary. What if I'm driving? I heard this the other day. Somebody I know was telling me, I don't know it. I had a panic attack and now I'm afraid to get in my car and drive to New Jersey because I might have to pull over on the road. And,
Yes.
and if this is you, if you're this person, then SBH or, is there to help you get set up where you can avoid the tsunami. You really, if you start at the bottom and you help yourself, those panic attacks I witnessed. They have gone away for a very long time because I did the work and I cared enough about myself to do the work. Because if you have to care about yourself, you have to put yourself first and say, I'm important enough to seek the help that I deserve. I deserve this help. And the people around me deserve to have me at my best. So those two things, and that's not selfish. That's what you need to do living as a human being with people around you, is to try to be your best self.
Absolutely.
So
it's not selfish at all. It's for you and it's for all those people around you, because if you're feeling that, how can the people who love you, who are close to you, not be affected? So it's absolutely not selfish. I did see a question, Cheryl, and I do want to address it.
Yes, I was just going to say from Michelle. Yes.
Yeah. How quickly is the process, the intake process? It's immediate. It's immediate. You call 787-1300, you speak to a professional, you talk about the confidentiality, what's going on for you, and the referral is immediately. The referral could be to our counseling center. It could be to a private therapist that hopefully accepts your insurance, or it could be a total out-of-pocket private therapist that they're recommending. MHR knows and is recommending. It's not the yellow pages. It's not just let's find somebody that they know enough to recommend. So there's not an intake process at the counseling center. There is an intake process, but I don't know if I should go into that right now. But again, you call the MHR line and they guide you through that. So the short answer, usually give the long answer, and then
I love it.
It's immediate.
It's immediate. And I think that the hardest part is deciding to make that phone call, because I've experienced through clients at SBH that don't want to make the phone call, right? But when they make the phone call, they're like, oh, why wasn't I doing this 4 months ago? Or that once I decided I needed help, they were there to help me. Like once you call SBH or you're deciding to get mental health wherever, privately, even whatever you're doing, the process, like as I call it, the universe kicks it back to you. It'll rope you in a good way, and it'll make it easier for you once the phone call is the hardest part. That's for me. If I have to make that first phone call,
Yeah. So you know what? Maybe there's a way to do it. I see somebody is saying that making the phone call is the biggest hurdle. So you know what? Make it with someone.
Call me. I'll make it with you.
Or me. Call someone. I've done that. Where people just needed a little bit of hand holding. Not necessarily for this. It could be for a million things, right? But
right.
I've done that where sometimes people just need somebody in the room or somebody on the line with them, or so reach out. Just reach out for help.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I just read. I don't know if you
Cheryl?
follow. What? Oh. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Sabrina, could you hear me? Okay. There's something called there's something called the 5-second rule. It's by an author, Mel Robbins. She's like a motivational speaker. And she says, like, anytime you have anxiety or you don't want to get out of bed or you're about to do something you don't want to do, you start at 5 and you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you just do it. And you don't think about it so much. So I think you have to take the thought process out and just count down from 5, pick up the phone, make the phone call. Don't even don't give yourself a chance to talk yourself out of it. Because I talk myself out of stuff all day. Do I want to call it? Not now. Do I want to do this? Not now. Don't give yourself that room to talk yourself out. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that advice. I love it. You know, if it's something that you really know should do for yourself, um, don't think about it. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
I think this is a very important topic, and in my classes, I always talk about anxiety, and I really do get a lot of positive feedback after from people that are like, I really suffer from anxiety. Thank you. This is very hard for me. And the second you open up about something that's going on in your life, other people are also going through the same. We are not living in a bubble. We are all experiencing the same pandemic. We're all experiencing health issues around us. We are all experiencing the same things. And if you don't have anxiety, I don't know what to say. I mean, you're a superhuman being. That's